everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro Division in the Christmas Links tournament. Here I'm going to show you and also explain to you how you can improve and better your score in the Christmas Links tournament. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, and this video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. So let's go. We do have a par 4 that we start with, and before I take my first shot, do not forget to check down in the video description to get the direct timestamps for the specific holes in this playthrough. If you do want to get the updated text guides, which is going to show you and also explain to you the details in the shots that are made and how to improve your score even more, then you can get those through patreon.com/golfclashtommy if you sign up there. So our opponent is going to show you one way to play this hole, and that is by playing this one fairly short by bouncing on the island. I'm going to go a little bit more aggressive here, going with a berserker ball, which is a power 5 ball. And then I'm going to have an extra my level 7, which do have 232 yards. I'm going to play this one with max side spin and 3.5 bar of top spin. And here's the trick, guys, that the first bounce is going to determine how much, like if we're going to be on green, or if we're going to go short, or if we're going to go long. I'm going to adjust for 4.4, then I'm going to go max overpower using half of the ball outside to the right in curl, and that curl is going to be important. The more curl we have, of course, the opportunity to get it to green is going to be there. Now we come in a little bit too hot, and as you can see on the roll, we didn't get it to stop as we wanted to. So the thing that I suggest here is that you use 2 bars of topspin, not more than that. So even if you go a bit short, it's better to go short than to go long, because then we at least going to have a short iron like this instead of a sandwich that we are having. So from the sand there, it's always going to be tougher, in my opinion, to get something to work for us there. Hole number 1 is going to be a very important hole in terms of getting an eagle as a start. So now hole number 2, a par 3. Here we're going to have to add 15% extra due to that we are playing downhill. And I'm going to play with a navigator as my opponent, and I'm actually having the landing spot here pretty much dialed in. It's a tricky hole, and it's very easy to get fooled by, like the spin and also the elevation adjustment that we are needed to adjust for. The sniper is the club for me here, and sure, you can put yourself with a rocket or with a quarterback with some backspin directly on the green, or like at least before the green, and then make it stop on the green. But I'm going to play it here. Take a look now with the landing position that we're looking for. Navigator ball, as I do want to have wind resistance. So wind resistance 2 is going to be good. 1.5 bar top spin, no side spin whatsoever. I'm going to have the white ring, half of the white ring inside the bunker on the right. And I do want my second bounce at least to display that is going to be just before the fringe, around one ring before the fringe. Then we're going to adjust for 15% extra, being in medium distance of our club, which is going to be 6.8 rings in this example. We are going to hit it perfect, and take a look at this bounce now, how nice and easy this one is coming in, bouncing just after the fringe here, and it slows down and it rolls with a very good speed in for a hole in 1. So that is how we play hole number 2. Hole number 3 we're coming up with here. This is the first par 5, and here I do like the wind that we're going to have, which is going to put me in a case where I'm going to play on the left side. Play on the left side requires that you're going to be close to the top. If you're not close to the top, you can have a very tough time to get an eagle on this par 5. But the wind, of course, in our back is going to help us big time. So and going in with this, like for example in headwind, we would have been pushed to play on the right side. Now we are basically pushed to play on the left side due to the tailwind that we're going to have. I'm going to play straightforward. I'm going to use 3 bars of topspin, letting myself be fairly close. I'm not that close that I'm going to put myself in the rough. So I'm putting myself in max distance of my club with 3 bars of topspin. Then I adjust max numbers with 10% extra as we're playing downhill. And then I take my shot. Playing with a power 3 ball as well is, in my opinion, required. As for the, not maybe for the drive itself, but for the second shot, which is going to be very, very long. And then we come to the second shot. Now I'm playing with the big dog, level 6. And you can see here now, even though we have the big dog, which have 180 yards, we have to go with max top spin and also max side spin to the right. We will also have to apply some curl. Half of the red ring inside to the right from this position. I'm going to play this one max top spin here. As for the big dog, which is going to give me 6 bars of topspin, to just be more clear with that. 2.3 rings. And now I'm going to go with half a ball of curl outside to the right of the adjustment ring. Bouncing nicely, and then the ball takes its speed, coming up here on the green, falling back down a little bit for a very easy eagle. Sure, you can approach the pin a little bit more aggressive, but with that approach, with not even being able to first and foremost not being able to adjust for the pin, second of all, you have to use a lot of topspin, and then we have to use curl. Then I would be happy to just put myself on green, to not overdo it, because that could potentially put ourselves in the rough or in the sand as we do miss our shot, and that is never good. Hole number 4, a par 3, the second par 3 already of the 4 holes. And here it is very important to have in mind that this the bounce is going to have such an effect in this headwind that it's sometimes going to fool you a little bit. It almost fools me, and I'm going to take you through the shot just about now. So I'm going to play with my sniper, and I'm playing this shot with a quasar here. 3 bars of backspin, max side spin. You can see on the ball guide here, it shows that we're going to go a bit further than the pin, like as we're going to miss the pin and coming in too hot. But we do that because we do have the headwind here. I'm going to adjust this shot for being 7 rings, as that is going to be medium distance with 10% extra. I would advise you to now afterwards that when we're dropping down there in the water, that you add half a ring. So this one should be 7.5 rings. Now I'm using half a ball of curl to the right outside the adjustment ring, and you can see we're coming in very nicely towards the pin. But due to the downwell combined with headwind, the ball is basically going to stop when we're using backspin combined with the rest of the adjustment. So add half a ring when you drop down like that. You also take away half a bar of backspin. So you play with 2.5 backspin instead of 3. Now, hole number 5, the second par 5. Here I'm going to play with 1 bar of backspin with max side spin to the left. 5.9, so I'm going to stretch out my adjustment a tiny little bit, and you can see from the cutoff is 2 rings, and then I'm going to adjust my numbers from that position. So the reason I'm always stretching out my landing position when I'm having tailwind is to estimate how far I'm going to go from where I want to bounce, and then I drag back and give myself the rings that I do need. Put myself there up to the top, and to just add for the last part of the drive is that I'm adding 10% to my adjustment due to the slightly downhill approach. And before I take my second shot, again, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. We are having like monthly competitions. We do have a bunch of different stuff coming out. We also have a very fun thing that is coming up here directly after New Year's as well. And if you do have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. If you do want to book a training session one-on-one with me, then you can do that on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Our opponent is in the rough. That's a bye-bye eagle, I would have to say, because this is going to be very tough to even reach over the water, which we are going to do now. Big dog, I'm choosing the big dog. As for if we do go short with a drive, it's going to be important with some power for our second shot. 1 bar backspin, aiming straight at the pin, and I know it's very tough with the big dog as the ball guideline is so bad, but still, aim straight at the pin as good as you can. Don't spend too many seconds adjusting for that. Put it at the pin and then adjust max numbers with no extra for elevation or anything to subtract, just normal numbers. And you can see we're coming in very close here for an albatross on hole number 5. And you can see here as well 1 bar backspin. Hole number 6. Now we come to another par 4, which in my opinion is going to be an important one in terms of getting an eagle. I'm going to play with an approach that I do like. If I would be having the big topper, then this is the approach I'm going to play. And I'm going to explain what I would be doing if I wouldn't be having a big topper. So you can see here I'm using max topspin of the big topper with 1.5 bar side spin to the right. You can also see that we're having a berserker ball, which is a power 5 ball. We're going to drag the adjustment down for where we do want to land, and then we adjust our rings. So in this case, we're going to play it around 3.8, 3.7 rings. So I'm not going to use any overpower. Max curl to the right with a big topper. And you can see here we get a very nice bounce. The second bounce just before the rough. And in this case, we do hit the rocks. But hitting the rocks most of the times actually makes that you're going to get an extra push over the rough there. But ultimately, we do want to bounce before the rough, bouncing kind of over the rough, and then roll and be very close towards the pin. If you wouldn't be having a berserker ball, if you wouldn't be having a big topper, then you play with the driver that gives you the most distance combined with topspin, which in many cases would be an extra mile. In our case here is an extra mile level 7. Our opponent is driving very far, very good as well, driving over it completely, and the add is also possible. Extra mile with a berserker, then it's possible to go max overpower, bounce on the last piece of fairway, get it very close to green. I honestly haven't decided which one I'm going to go with yet. I like the big topper approach, but I also feel confident enough to play with overpower. But in the end, you decide. In the end, we also do want to get an eagle on this one. We cannot miss it this tiny as I'm doing here. Using the rapier level 5, having a very short wedge, and I'm not happy with my adjustments, so I basically get to wing it a little bit here, and we do miss the eagle, which is unlucky. But in the end, that is what is necessary. We do need to get the eagle from a position like that. But there you can see the drive. The drive is the key. The short range like shots, those are the ones that we can actually go and just improve. Another par 3, or I would say the last par 3 for this playthrough and also for the tournament itself. I'm going to play 2 bars of backspin, max side spin to the right. Having my Goliath level 6 in a plus 3 yard mark with an edge of the red ring just inside the rough on the right. That's important, that's the landing position. Here we're going to adjust our shot for being in max distance with 10% extra, which in this case is 2.9 rings. Here I'm using around 80% of the ball outside to the right of the adjustment ring. But look, oh, this beauty coming in straight at the pin, dropping it for a hole in 1. So now we have dropped 2 out of 3 of the par 3s, which itself is going to be important. Of course, the par 4s is going to be very important in terms of getting the eagles, But also the par threes, if we can get something extra there, it definitely takes away the pressure of that we do need to eagle all the par fours. So our opponent here in the end is going to play, a shot that is going to take him to the green, and it's going to fall back down a little bit, and an easy birdie. And the birdie is something that we should be getting in hole in one. That's a different story. So hole number 8, and now I'm actually going to do an approach that I'm not happy with, but with the lack of extra accounts, I couldn't play this shot more than this approach here, which in this case is going to give me a Titan ball, and the plan for me here to do a double bounce, to bounce before the bunker and over the bunker and get to roll for the final piece. I'm going to change this approach, then I'm actually going to go with the extra mile, and I'm going to go with a power 3 ball, going for the single bounce over the bunker. It's going to be a little bit trickier, but in the end, the problem we get with this big topper approach is for the position we do want and we do aim for, we often get a very flat bounce with the big topper, and that is going to put ourselves in the bunker many of the times. In the end, it's a safe way to get over, but I think it's going to be better to use an extra mile going. You can see here the extra mile level 7. For now, he or she is using a turkey ball, so it doesn't really say that much, but playing with a Titan ball that gives you some decent wind and also some distance, then we should be able to bounce over the bunker directly. And I'm going to work with this one and explain more in the updated text guides when those are done. You can see how close it is with a turkey ball, and if we're getting a little bit more curl, and that the only thing is, the reason why I'm not trying with a big topper to bounce directly over the bunker is because with too much topspin, we're going to roll off the green and roll off the complete course and go out of bounds. That is not something that has happened to me, but it has happened to other players. Then we need to be cautious about that, so we're getting over the bunker with enough like topspin to stay on the green or just on the fairway just before the green. Last but not least, we're going to play hole number 9. Hole number 9 is a par 5, and I'm going to play left. I know there is players that are playing right, but I do feel very comfortable with this type of wind that we can put ourselves and play left. And something to have in mind here, when you play left, I'm not adding anything for elevation. I'm playing that just as it is. If I play right, I add 10%. And I don't blame you for going right. But I do believe that going left is going to give ourselves an easier task for the eagle. Or also, not an easy, but also a shot for the albatross. So the drive here, I'm going to put myself with a Titan. Very important that I do play with a wood club that do give us a lot of distance. I'm going to play with max topspin and 3 bars of side spin to the right. The more topspin, the better, because then we can go with less overpower. You can see here that we do have a tiny piece that we do want to bounce ourselves away from. And I'm going to play my drive around 3.7 rings, and then I'm going to move my target back up to max, and then I'm going to take my shot. Here I'm using around 50% of overpower with some slight curl to the right. We can go max overpower if we want to, but I think it's easier to control our shot by going with a little bit less than max overpower. You can see we have a lot of distance left here on this platform, but this is going to be enough. If you do get a drive that is going to be around 380 yards, now we got 395, but over 380 yards, then it's going to be no problem for you to get that ball over that piece of rough that is going to be in that you can see on the left in the middle there. Very hard to follow maybe, but that is going to be a possibility to get it over there, which is going to be very important in my opinion. Gets it over there, and of course, playing on the right side, you need to play with a power 3 ball. You also need to play with a wood club that gives you distance. Look here, having a big dog, we are in max range, and we have a lot of room from the bottom bunker there, so now we can actually approach the pin in a decent way. I'm playing one and a half topspin is what I want to play, but I play 2 max side spin to the right, and then we're going to adjust for max numbers with no elevation adjustment, so 2.5 rings. And then it's time for the curl, so I'm going with around, I can say it's almost a complete ball, but around 80 to 90% of curl outside to the right. Coming in a little bit hot. We're coming in with a good direction though, but coming in a little bit too hot. But in the end, a safe eagle. And to sum it up with Pro, I did show you 2 approaches that should be getting you very close to a hole-in-one or even a hole-in-one. In the end, the par 4s are key. Hole 1, hole 6, hole 8, you need to eagle 2 out of 3 of them in my opinion. It's going to be very low scores in Pro. It's going to be awesome to play a tournament like this compared to the last one when it was very, very tough and very high scores instead. If you do have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. If you do want to get more detailed instructions, pinpoint information about how to shoot some of the shots in this tournament for Pro and also for the other divisions, check out the updated text guys on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Merry Christmas everyone, and good luck in the Christmas Links tournament.